of the first MTN8 quarterfinal game. I'm joined by Shuaib Walters, former Maritzburg, Cape Town City, Bloemfontein Celtic goalkeeper. How are you doing, Shuaib?
I'm very well. How are you, Rob? I thought we have got some excitement now with the last game, obviously in the MTN8, which was quite good. I think for MTN8, for MTN, sorry, themselves, it was a good start to the season.
Yeah, it was an interesting game. It's obviously defending champion SuperSport looked like they were going to be running away with it. But then Mr. Ngele showed a bit of a fight, and TTM didn't do so badly in the end.
Yeah, you know what? We've obviously expected it, even if you look at with the signings that they've made, with the amount of attacking players that they made, and also with the coach Masuta, wants to play attacking football, and they keep mentioning it. And yeah, it's good to have that, but I do feel when you play against a team like SuperSport, you need to find a certain degree of balance, which they obviously didn't have. They were pretty poor at the back. Yes, we can also blame because they don't have everybody in the arsenal at the moment, which obviously what they expected with Onyango there, and then Ngani also not available to bring a little bit more stability at the back. You look at Nonyani, which is a natural left back, obviously playing in a makeshift centre back position, and then Brandon Theron for me he was struggling because he was caught out of position quite a few times with the first goal to block the shot. Obviously, because he's a natural right footer, and now to block it with your right foot was hard to block the cross for the goal for Grobela. And then obviously when it comes to the third goal as well, getting caught on the inside, and obviously Kampani obviously shooting to his left side again.
Yeah, obviously, let's just go back to the beginning because you mentioned not having players available.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen such a short team sheet? 14 players on the team sheet in a professional game in top tier football in South Africa. Have you ever been part of a 14-player team sheet?
I've never been part of a 14-player team sheet, and the whole irony about it is that you're allowed 20 players now. So you're allowed 9 on the bench. And they just took it to the extreme to the other side, and just say, yeah, I think it's a little bit unfortunate, obviously, with the registrations and players traveling and not being available. So I think they obviously had to just fulfill the fixture. But like we said, it was an entertaining game. They're obviously going to bring a certain degree of entertainment when it comes to playing football and attacking football.
When you look at the SuperSport side, I mean, to be fair, after Bradley's goal in the 9th minute, I think they must probably had 4 or 5 chances to increase the lead before that second goal. Then the third goal comes a few minutes later. Do you think it was a case of that they took their foot off the pedal at that point?
I think, playing against most of those players at SuperSport and watching them all the years now, they've got a certain degree where they manage games pretty well. So even if you look how they started quite, pushing for a goal. And in the result, they obviously, with that amount of pressure that they put on TTM, they got the first goal. And then, like you said, they created a few more chances. And if you look also at the aging defense that SuperSport have, is they're going to bank a lot this season on the first 45 minutes. And then from there will dictate how they will be able to manage the games going further. Look, you're playing in Toyando. There's probably maybe 33, 34 degrees there. We always knew that TTM was accustomed to that type of, humidity and weather. And I think that was just the way SuperSport was going to play. Did they expect, obviously, for TTM to continue? Yes, we always do. We always expect attacking footballing teams to, whether they're losing 5-0 or whether they're leading 1-0, they're going to play the same type of football. And I think that's what I expected. They were a little bit unfortunate not to get the equalizer with Lamola beating Phillips on the right-hand side and cutting it back and, the snapshot. So yes, I think they're showing some promise for the rest of the season.
I obviously watched a lot of them in the Glad Africa Championship. And what was interesting is that while the playing personnel was obviously very different, it was a similar kind of thing to what I'd seen in the second tier, where they either weren't playing well at all or momentum pushed them forward and they suddenly played brilliantly. And there were moments in that second half that it looked like that equalizer was going to come. Also, Ronwen Williams pulled up a really good stop from Shonga. Can you afford to play like that, though, in the top flight? Or, will teams hurt you more than often, where it almost seems like some of the football is a bit off the cuff?
Okay, so we can just look at normal statistics here now. I mean, look at the teams that do play that way. Polokwane, Baraka, Chipper United. Where are they on the log? So that should already tell you that, yes, you can play that, and Black Leopard's another one. That tells you already that you can play that, and yes, you'll get away with it at times, but to find a good balance is for the success of the PSL. Now, I understand that we're always hearing people saying we want to play attacking football and a good brand of football. But to a certain degree, is it going to be where you're going to concede goals the way you did? So if I'm a team now and you're playing off the cuff and I know all I need to do is sit a little bit deep and I know I'm going to get some chances on transition, or I'm allowed to walk into the box like Reiners did and nobody's going to even try and mark me, and I'm just going to siphon the ball in the net, and then Brighton Klongo is left exposed. So playing off the cuff, it's not going to work in the long term. It might work 1 or 2 games, but it's not going to work, obviously, for the long run. And teams have showed that statistically they do play that way.
Got a question from the YouTube from Zuko asking whether admin will affect their game. I mean, let's just take a look at what's happened over the past week. Also, so it doesn't look like things are very well organized at the club. Announcing a squad 2 days before a match, that sort of thing. Could that sort of admin stuff start to affect on the field? And as a player yourself, how much does what's happening in the office behind you affect you on the field?
Look, for me, to a certain degree, I think if it was to affect the players, like, for example, if we're having 1 or 2 or 3 players complaining about not getting paid, then yes, it would affect them on the field. But I think at the moment now, with the personnel that they do have, and you look at the players that they do have, it shouldn't affect it much. Where I do believe that, and I've always had this philosophy that the administration will always filter through down to the players. It will affect them to a certain degree, but it might not be as a player being affected by it. But the team, at the end of the day, I feel will. Like, for example, now, you can see that why were you signing and pushing for so many attacking players, but then you look and you expose at the back? So then the team is going to be affected. You understand? Yes, we heard that Ngani has signed now from Pirates. Brian Nyongo was apparently spotted at Kaizer Chiefs. So, that type of thing then is going to eventually affect the team. And that part of the administration, yes, I do agree, will affect the team.
Do you often, obviously, now that you've retired as a player and you start looking across the media, you see all these reports and you talk about that. I saw another story that Mulenga was at Amazulu. So how often do you think that, when you read all these stories in the media and you see teams announcing players before they join, do you think that is another level of professionalism that they still have to learn, that you kind of wait until the player has passed a medical, signed on the dotted line, and is actually on the training field?
Yes, I think it's something that we need to, because at the end of the day, it's nowadays it's international news. So somebody that's sitting in Finland or even in America can go on to Kickoff, can go on to Soccer Laduma, can go on to IOL, can go on to all these SAFM's website, SABC's website, and you can go and see the news. And it's not a good advertisement for South African football at the end of the day when you see these type of things. And I think for us, as much as we don't care what what the rest of the world thinks or that type of thing is, we need to have a certain degree of professionalism. And I think that is where we need to. But at the end of the day, there's so many other things that we kind of also need to try and iron out. So I know that it's always an uphill battle. But I think to a certain degree we have improved, and we have improved in certain areas. Yes, this past transfer window, this past just general buying and selling of clubs, the players being they had a verbal agreement, and maybe it should be even a learning curve for the clubs themselves. Yes, a player, the owner calls the player, and the player agrees. Yes, I'm going to come and I'm going to sign for you. I'll see you tomorrow. And next minute you'll see them signing at Amazulu, for example, or another club. Better offers come. So I think yes, clubs should also wait until it's obviously signed on the dotted line and there's something in concrete. And then obviously look to promote the players.
And then final one on TTM, Joel Masuta, hired as technical director during the week, is named as the head coach. How much pressure on him is that? Because the fact is you hired for one role. If let's say they don't go too well in these first few games, is he going to move back to technical director, or does a club say, no, it's cool, Joel, we don't want your technical direction or your coaching. We're bringing in someone new.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I had probably about 3 or 4 coaches where at the club we would bring in, technical director, and I don't know why or how all the coaches that I've spoken to about it, and they always used to say it's not actually a technical director. It's just the name of that position is actually coach in waiting. So he's actually just waiting there. He's idling to see if the coach himself can do the job, or if they're going to give him a run, and if he doesn't do well, instead of firing him, we kind of just move you. So it kind of, they kind of cover themselves on all angles when it comes to club management and club owners. So the whole technical director position in South Africa is a little bit of a gray area when it comes to, but most times, like even when the Sundowns technical director signed there also, and then Pitzer was leaving, and then they were already, okay, he's going to take over. So that type of thing. And when it comes to TTM and obviously Masuta, I think they're going to give him an opportunity and see how it goes. And if things don't work out, they'll probably just move him to the technical director position.
So I'm going to keep my eye on if I ever see Shoaib Walters, technical director. I know what's going on, Shoaib.
Then you must know that I was called to be offered the job, but they still need to give the coach a few more games, type of thing.
Then final question, SuperSport. Having a look at what they've done, having a look at how they performed at the end of last season, do you think they're going to be strong enough to challenge for the DStv Premiership? Or do you think they still need to recruit a few players? Or do those new players who've joined still have to fit in a bit?
Look, I think Reyners, I tweeted it actually earlier on. I think he's a suitable replacement for Aubrey Modiba, who's obviously left the Sundowns. Similar type of players, attacking with speed. Obviously, he's just a right footer. But yes, like I said, you're looking at Bashera 35. You're looking at Kumalo, who's 35. You're looking at Daniels, which is 36, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely in the defense, I think they're going to have to, try and implement a little bit more young blood coming through. Obviously, those 3 won't be able to play your 35, 40 matches in a season. In the attack, I think, maybe a little bit of variety in the type of play. Most teams know that the diagonal balls, so they kind of build up from the one side, hit diagonal balls, and then obviously look to put in a cross and some tap, obviously looking to finish with Kabuza and Grobler. I think attacking, they look quite strong, and they've got some good backups. But definitely in defense, I think they need. They've brought in some good experience with Shikovo as a backup to Ronwen Williams, which I think is good. And obviously, we saw Arubi is now at TTM.
Right. Don't forget to subscribe to the Frontrunner channel. That's a wrap on our little wrap up of the first game of the 2020-2021 football season. It was entertaining. We got 5 goals. Let's hope the next ones are all like that.
So how are you, bud?
Nice. I'm good, Stripe. How are you?